pure pickle.
Did you grow up with the NES, PlayStation, Star Wars, cartoons, and 80s TV? Do you like to think who would win in a fight between Batman and the Master Chief? Comics, games, movies, music, and TV, they're gonna tell you everything you need. Superheroes or not, they got your back. They're gonna save the world of geeks. Games, movies, music, and TV, they're gonna tell you everything you need. Superheroes or not, they got your back. They're gonna save the world of This Week in Geek. This Week in Geek.
Hey guys, what's going on? Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, what other
Festivus
holidays you can think of. Anyway, yes, it is the year 2019, and this is our Christmas commentary. Last year, actually, I guess I should probably introduce myself. I am Mike the Birdman, but I'm not alone as I take this trip to Nakatomi Plaza. I'm joined with
Alex.
That's right, guys. We are here for the Christmas commentary. Last year, we took a look at Santa with Muscles, which recently got a Blu-ray release, I want to say.
You know what? I did a review of it. What was hilarious, I forgot we did Santa with Muscles last year.
Yeah.
We were talking, and they were like, yeah, we should. I said, hey, we should do this for a commentary. And you went, Alex, we fucking did it already. And I'm like, no, we didn't. And you're like, you recorded it, edited it, and put it out. And I'm like, no, we didn't. And we're like, oh, we did. It's been a very busy, long year.
It's been a very long year.
I will say that Blu-ray looks fantastic considering the movie.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised. I mean, considering they shot most of it in what looks like a church basement.
With the most ridiculous crap happening in it. Like,
yeah, I know, right? Just like Hulk Hogan want to make a Christmas movie. Why not, brother?
Gotta get paid, brother.
So yeah, this year we're finally doing the long-awaited Die Hard commentary, which I know we've always talked about on TWIG for years. I'm pretty sure we've never done this before. I'm almost 99% sure of it. And yeah, it's just been one of those movies where if you've been following me on Twitter for a long time, at BirdmanDod, you know I'm a huge fan of Die Hard. I've been with this franchise for a number of years. In fact, I guess before the commentary starts, we will be watching this on Blu-ray, so hopefully we'll match up. We'll read you off the first couple seconds. You get synced up with
because
us.
Sometimes the time codes are different, and Blu-ray is 24 frames, like perfect 24 frames. DVD is either 29 or 23 and like
or it's like 29.85 or something.
Yeah,
like that.
or 29.97 or 23.998, which is not quite 24. And over the course of a movie, you can get out of sync by like half a second.
Yeah.
So it is the Blu-ray, which is readily available in many different forms.
Yeah, if not, you can buy this
for like
digital.
You can buy the digital copy, like from like iTunes and anywhere else, will be the Blu-ray copy.
Yeah,
so it'll be the same time code.
I guess to kind of start things off, I'll give you a little bit of history with my history with this movie. I didn't see this movie until 1999 or 98. So a good 10 years after it had been out, though I had seen Die Hard with a Vengeance in theaters before I saw the first one. And I remember this day very, very specifically. I was living on my own because my parents had kicked me out of my house and I was living in my own bachelor pad.
Why did they do that? No. Family drama.
Family drama, and I loved a girl.
Oh,
but anyway,
you did it for love, people.
I really did. And so I'm living down the street from my girlfriend's place. And my friend Eric, who I think he worked at Blockbuster, or he was just a very frequent patron. Sorry, not Patreon.
A little ahead of your time there.
Yeah, a little bit. And I remember he's like, "Hey, Mike, you ever seen Die Hard?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "All right, well, it's a Christmas movie." I'm like, yeah, sure it is. And this is long before this debate started. So he brings it over. He brings over like some snacks and some stuff. And he sits you down and says, "Mike, I'm going to show you this movie and it's going to change your life." And I'm thinking, well, bullshit. I don't believe you. And Eric sat me down and I was utterly astounded. I'm sitting on this raggedy ass pull-out couch I got from the Salvation Army on the edge of my seat, thinking, wow, Bruce Willis is so cool.
Bruce Willis had hair.
Yeah, it was so weird because I'd never seen an action movie quite like this. I mean, I'd seen tons of movies like, The Rock.
Was this like, you hadn't seen like Lethal Weapon or the 80s
No,
ones yet?
I don't.
So you were an action fan when it came to like sci-fi, but you hadn't seen pure 80s action.
Yeah, I really hadn't seen more grounded, so to speak, action movies. Yeah, like
the action thriller.
Yeah,
eluded you.
Yeah, like I hadn't even seen Lethal Weapon until the 2000s. Although I did see again Lethal Weapon 3 in theaters because I thought Joe Pesci was funny because of the Home Alone movies.
Which he's still funny in that.
Oh yeah,
Leo gets anything you want. Leo gets.
But yeah, it was so weird. Just this was my introduction to the action movie, and this kind of what kind of started me on my path of seeking out direct-to-video movies later on. Because I really kind of fell into this genre hard.
Now, my background is I'm about, what am I, 5 years younger than you?
Yeah, I'm 38.
Okay, so you just turned 30. Okay,
yeah.
So there's a 6-year difference.
Mm-hmm.
In the 96-ish, was that when With a Vengeance came out?
95.
So 96 is when my dad pirated it. My parents were that couple that got a Betamax player for their wedding.
Yeah.
Because my grandfather was a teacher, but he worked in the summers at Radio Shack.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, this is a superior device in 1984.
Yeah.
And it was. It didn't have as much, length on it that you could record until way later. But what people didn't know is it also allowed... you couldn't copy Betamax to Betamax, and you couldn't copy VHS to VHS because remember Macrovision protection?
Yeah.
There was no Macrovision protection from copying VHS to Beta. So they would rent videos, and they'd rent like the Back to the Future trilogy and be like, I guess we're having a copy on it on one tape on SLP mode. So I saw a lot of these videos, like especially like trilogies like this for the first time when my dad's like, here's a 3-pack. And I'd be like, this doesn't look like it's from the store. I didn't care because I was like 9 or 10. I'm like, 3 movies on one tape. So that's how I watched it. The only thing is I watched it out of order.
Oh,
he taped it by accident and put 2, 1, then 3.
Yeah.
So that I didn't, and he didn't record the credits to save space. So I didn't know that was the incorrect order to watch.
Oh,
I thought Die Hard 2 was Die Hard 1.
Weird.
For like 5 or 6 years until that. Remember those silver thick box sets came out?
Yeah, the Nakatomi set.
And I was like, hey, I remember saying, hey, they got it in the wrong order. And then I'm like, oh, no. But the logic in my brain was like, why would they print those in the wrong order? And I was like, no, I've just been watching it wrong for 5 years.
I remember when the first Blu-ray or when the first DVD set came out.
You remember there were those Ultimate Fox editions. They were the silver double thick boxes.
Yeah. And
they were meant to sort of look like the silver or black clamshells that they used to have. And those were some of the first DVDs. And I had the first one in that format, the Ultimate Edition or whatever they called them back then. They were one of the first DVD sets to come out when DVDs started to finally come down in price.
Yeah.
That were just chock full of features.
Oh, yeah. Back then, the features really meant something.
Like DTS audio tracks, things that like for the next 10 years, I didn't even have the ability to play. Like we were still rocking like a regular tube TV, obviously. Mm-hmm. But we did have a quadraphonic stereo setup, but it was just left and right, and then back left and right were just mirrored left and right. So we had just a wider surround. So like I grew up, I was that kid that had these large ass speakers, and like we were the one house that had like audio hooked up to the TV. So I didn't know I was spoiled that way. Like my dad just was good with tech. So he put it together. So like I would go see these movies at friends' places on their tinny TVs and be like, that's not, hey, they're going to, somebody's going to come up from behind there and they'll be like, how can you tell? I'm like, because that's when you hear the sound come from the left-hand side. And they're like, what sound? And I'm like, oh, everybody I know watches movies like crap. So like, it's funny. This will be probably my first time seeing this on Blu-ray.
Oh man.
Because I've seen it on TV whenever it airs on TV, but that's, a very different bird.
Mm-hmm. So I guess without any further ado, we're going to hit play on the Blu-ray. So your time counter should read 0.00.
If you have a time counter, but you should be at the menu getting ready to press play.
Yeah. So we're pressing play. And 01, 02, 03, 04, 05, 06, 07. You should be synced up with us right about now. So the Fox fanfare, back when Fox was not owned by the mouse. Just give me a sec here. There we go.
Yeah. Gordon Company. Is that who it's not the same guy that does the...
I know this is Joel Silver.
It's not the Mark Gordon Company that does like Criminal Minds and stuff, is it?
Fucking hope not. Fuck that show. John McTiernan. You know, there's a really cool series you can watch now on Netflix called The Movies That Made Us, and it talks about Die Hard. It's really well done. Like, I learned so much from this. So, yeah, it turns out, so there was another movie starring John McClane, starring Frank Sinatra, if I remember right, in the 60s.
Okay.
And there was like a contract from the original author who wrote Die Hard, but it was called Nothing Lasts Forever, and where Sinatra had the option to come back and play the character, but it spent so long in development because Nothing Lasts Forever was written in like the 70s.
Okay.
And this movie didn't get made until the 80s.
This movie's what, 88 or 89? I can't remember.
88, I think. So it took like forever for it to happen. And contractually, they had to ask Frank Sinatra. Like,
wouldn't he have
so
been in his
play?
60s or 70s by then?
Yeah. So they're like, contractually, we have to ask you. And he's like, yeah, someone else can do it. And they didn't want to have Bruce Willis do it because he was like the moonlighting guy. And every like screening where they showed off the trailer, people started laughing out loud at it because they couldn't take him seriously.
So basically it's a Michael Keaton sort of thing all over again.
Yeah, with like Mr. Mom is Batman. And the movie wasn't even originally called Die Hard. It was called like a number of different things. And it's just how this movie came to be is amazing. And I know they use it in film classes. They use it at my college to teach film school. How do you make a good 3-act movie? And this is another one of those movies where they were writing pages as they go. Like they had to figure out certain things a couple days beforehand. Like they'd get like pages out and they're like, why are they robbing the bank? How do they get away? In fact, I'll show you one of the infamous continuity errors with this movie when we get to that scene. But there's just so many little things that they did. This movie's a miracle how it happened. And I'm astounded how it got happened. Hell, I know this was one of the, at the time, Bruce Willis was one of the highest paid actors to do this movie. I think he made like $5 million for this.
Which is surprising because isn't this his first major picture?
Yes. Well, I think he'd done a few smaller pictures, but this was first starring. Like his first big thing. Because like otherwise he was the moonlighting guy and he did like commercials.
This guy.
Ellis. Another
I'm drawing a blank, but is that Ron Silver?
No.
Very similar
Ron Silver
look.
is dead. And also not as happy looking. Although I guess I could argue that because in Time Cop he was pretty cheery at one point.
And when he did that horrible like
Heat Vision and Jack.
No, I'm thinking when he did the anti Mike what's his name? Michael Moore movie.
Yeah.
Like where he was like the opposite conspiracy theorist.
I think I remember this.
Was it Fahrenheit he did?
Yes, Fahrenheit 9, whatever.
Yeah. What I love is that they got him to be like the voice of that movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, and they're like, see, he's exposing all these things. And all I could think of, and even in school, I was in high school when that came out, my film teacher goes, so anybody see any problems with this, regardless of if what he says ends up being true?
Yeah.
Like what? Oh, the fact that, and nobody in the class knew, but I was the big film buff in class. I'm like, oh, the fact that he plays a bad guy in every single movie he's ever done, and they want him as the voice of this film. Ron Silver could be the nicest man on the planet, but every movie he's been in has either involved him killing somebody or being killed because he's bad.
Yeah, I can't think of a wholesome role that Ron Silver has ever played. And he never plays against type. So, but still,
The hair.
oh yeah,
And I love that it's one step away from a rotary phone. Well, that is a rotary phone right there.
it is.
How long did it take people to get their hair done back then?
A long time. It really, because my mom grew up in that era, and I remember her having the big teased hair like that. And I always like, even today, I think on the right person, it can look really, really, really cool. And I like how some of the 80s stuff is starting to come back now. Oh boy.
Oh boy. It is really weird seeing, like, I mean, he was balding, but seeing him with hair.
Yeah.
Seeing him care too. You can see he cared about the role in the first 2 minutes of the movie. He has like 5 like movies come out a year now, and he looks so bored in everything he does.
I think the last movie I saw him give a shit about in was probably Looper.
Yeah, he does like one every other year that is like what he cares about. Everything else is just like bleh.
One of my favorite things about Bruce Willis is I used to love listening to the Kevin Smith stories about him and how they've kind of made up now.
Well, I mean, you can only be up your own ass so long before you realize, hey, maybe I was wrong. Like, even look at Mel Gibson.
Mm-hmm.
He's made a big come around. He's like, yeah, I was an alcoholic. I am an alcoholic, and I got problems, and I have anger problems. And he goes, so what? And I'm sorry, I'm made mistakes. And I mean, he said some things that are not so good.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he sounds like he's done as much as he can to sort of be like, hey, look, can't take back what I said, but what can I do?
Yeah. I mean, one of the cool things I liked about Bruce Willis is he texted Kevin Smith and he was like, hey man, this is Bruno. How's Rose? And Kevin Smith was like, who the fuck is Rose? And he forgot that his kid's name is Harley. He's like, oh, he must mean Harley. Shit. Rose is good. And he's just kind of kept it up for all these years. But the fact that Bruce Willis, he'll call people out of the blue and shit talk with them for like half an hour. That's really cool of him. Like,
well, he has the time when he's not doing these crappy movies in Bulgaria or whatever the shit he's doing.
That's something I wish I'd seen when I went to Los Angeles back in 2009. I didn't go see the Fox building. And I did find out while watching that the movies that made us, when they filmed in the Fox building, there were lawyers on one of the floors, and they tried to get them to shoot mostly at night, so the lawyers wouldn't hear gunfire. The neighborhood hated this production when there were like all the explosions and shit, and just so many things that could have went wrong did.
Rap. That's all I gotta say is rap.
And Steven D'Souza, who would go on later to, I think, write the Street Fighter movie.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah, I think it was him. I'm not 100%.
He unleashed that crap on the world?
Well, he did write the script in a night, to be fair. But that was part of it.
Any script that's written in a night should not be put to film.
And I know Mick G or Mick Tiernan didn't want to do this movie until they just kept bugging him. Joel Silver was like, do it. No, do it.
Well,
McTiernan, do it.
He's the guy that did Predator, right?
Steven D'Souza?
No, McTiernan.
Yes.
He did Predator, and did he do another Arnold movie? Or no?
I don't think he did Commando.
I would have remembered that. I'll pull it up on the interwebs.
Another great piece for this movie, if you want to find a really fun song about Die Hard, there's this group that came out about the time Live Free or Die Hard came out. There was a group on MySpace called Guys Night, and they did the Die Hard song, and they used it in the promotion of Live Free or Die Hard for a little while, and they got stupid huge off it. Unfortunately, their success didn't last. Lost to the Twig archives at one point. I had recorded an interview with them during school, and it was a half hour of me rapping with their lead singer, Guy Manley. And I recorded my end of the audio, and this is back before Skype call recorders were really common.
Yeah.
So you had to do a separate computer to loop in that audio. Like,
I know what you mean. Yeah, it was a pain.
It was just such a pain in the ass, and we lost the audio, and they wouldn't reschedule an interview so I could do it again. So I was like, guys, I'm really sorry. They're like, you know what? Shit happens, but we're really, really, really busy.
Shit happens, and fuck you.
Yeah, I was like, I'm sorry. I'm new at this. And at that point, I'd only been doing podcasting maybe 5-6 months. So I was still really fucking green. Hell, we used to edit Twig on GarageBand once upon a time.
You really did that?
Yeah. Me and Steve Snowball taught me how to use GarageBand.
I thought you were going to say Steve Buscemi.
Yes, Steve Buscemi.
We should be a lot more famous. So John McTiernan, he directed Nomads, which I've never seen.
Neither have I.
That's the Pierce Brosnan, I think, Alien movie.
Okay.
Predator, Die Hard, The Hunt for Red October.
Oh, really?
Medicine Man, Last Action Hero. That's where I remember him from.
See if it was Steven D'Souza who did do Street Fighter, because that's going to.
I'll look it up. Yeah, he also did Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Okay, yep.
13th Warrior, an underrated film most people forget.
I liked it. I saw it in theaters.
Thomas Crown Affair.
Haven't seen it.
Rollerball.
Which was critically panned.
Basic, which I didn't care for.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a to-be-announced film. He hasn't done anything technically in 16 years.
Yeah, he's the type of guy who only comes out for something if he gives a shit. And
he had something fairly regular every 2 to 3 years, and then he's just like, I guess I'm not making movies now in this decade.
I've made my money. I'm good. I always get a kick out of the response he gives there where he's like, don't touch me.
The Sousa guy?
Yeah.
Produced Commando. Didn't direct it, though.
Okay. Was he the Street Fighter guy?
Jumping Jack Flash, Running Man. Produced the second Die Hard, Hudson Hawk, The Flintstones, Beverly Hills Cop. He directed Street Fighter.
Okay, I thought so.
And he also
Van Damme was coked out of his mind.
He also produced Judge Dredd. Law.
I love Armand Assante for that.
He hasn't done anything since 2004.
What was the last thing he did?
Something called Blast.
Never heard of it.
Oh, God. I remember seeing that cover. It's a crime movie starring Eddie Griffin, Breckenmeyer, Vivica A. Fox, and Vinnie Jones. The Kings of Direct-to-Video circa 2005.
I miss Vinnie Jones. You don't see him around much anymore.
You haven't been watching the CW verse. He showed up in that for a while.
Oh.
On Arrow, I think, and a few others. He makes appearances and stuff. What I miss the golden age of direct-to-video, which was not the mid-2000s. That's when it went to crap when Steven Seagal made everything garbage. But like 1988 to 2000 is probably the best. So
the era of Canon and stuff like that.
Well, Canon went to theaters. The era
Canon,
of
Orion.
But also PM Release Group. They're the ones that put out tons of those action movies in the 90s.
And they were all trying to copy Die Hard.
And everything that like Full Moon everybody was doing.
Which, it's funny. There was something that I'd heard how after this movie came out, every studio was like, I want Die Hard, but in blank. I want Die Hard, but in blank.
Yeah, Under Siege, Die Hard on a boat, which was actually, that's the best movie.
On a train.
No, the first one's on a boat.
No, the
first one, Under Siege, is he's
on the boat. Oh, right. Yeah, number 2 is on the sea.
Yeah,
Dark,
the cook. The cook is back on Dark Territory.
That's right.
With wasn't that Kirsten Dunst's first movie or something like that?
Okay, now here's the scene that I'm talking about. Okay, so pay attention to that truck.
Yeah,
it's going to be important. One of the things that I did like about Die Hard, and it's something that a lot of action movies miss, it's believable chemistry between the leads, because they'll cast Channing Tatum, for example, and he's a great guy, and he's got charisma and he's got chemistry, but not every co-star he gets with is believable. Like when he did his Die Hard movie, White House Down, was it White House Down?
Yes.
Yeah. I just everybody else is believable. He's believable, but not a lot of his co-stars are.
It was fun. It was stupid.
Yeah, it was stupid.
I actually didn't see the. I guess what was the competition called? I saw Angels Has Fallen.
Olympus Has Fallen.
Olympus Has Fallen. I didn't see that until like this year.
Yeah, me and Blair, my wife, enjoy those movies, even though we know they're
somebody
terrible.
Told me, they said, "Oh, if you're going to watch them, White House Down is basically Bruce Willis movie."
Yeah,
and they said, "Oh, and Olympus Has Fallen is basically." They said, like, what if a Steven Seagal movie was starring Clint Eastwood? like young Clint Eastwood. That was basically like the description. Like, and watching them, I'm like, you know what? That's pretty close.
Yeah.
Also, what I like is this is an action hero who doesn't look beyond realistic in body.
Yeah,
like,
he's not
like,
Arnold. He's not Sly.
He's toned, and he's in shape, obviously, like from his size and muscles. But he's realistic as a cop. Like until like the last 20 years, basically, since a lot of cops are like trained almost like the military are now.
Yeah.
Like cops didn't have to be super in shape. They had to be up to a certain standard, but the standard is way different now.
Yeah.
He looks like a cop now.
Yeah.
So it would explain why he's able to do this. Like
he looks like your basic army grunt.
Yeah, not like a SWAT member would be, where they'd have to be like super ripped.
Mm-hmm.
But he's in like incredibly good shape, but not like look at all the steroids I'm doing body. You know what I mean? He looks like an attainable dude, which is, I think, missing from a lot of action movies even today. Mm-hmm. Now everybody either looks like a super like 1% body fat, lean swimmer dude, or like
Chris Pratt,
or like the prime example would be
Chris Evans.
No. Why am I drawing a blank? Oh my god,
what's he in?
Statham.
Oh yeah.
They either have that look / with a little bit of like Wolverine where he's ripped, or you have like people that are like almost skinny and unbelievable. Like it wouldn't be believable. Like that guy's lifting 300 pounds. It doesn't make any sense. He looks like he weighs like 140 pounds.
Okay, so here's part of that. Take a look. Okay, so they're getting ready to come in. We see the truck pulling into the garage.
Okay.
And blah, blah, blah. Stuff's going to happen here. Also, this is the movie that made me fall in love with guns.
This movie made me fall in love with long blonde hair.
Okay, so we look into the back of the truck here.
Okay. Pacific Courier.
Yep. Come on, hurry up. And this was one of the disadvantages they had because they were writing pages as they went. I've also never seen a flashbang look like that.
Like a hockey puck?
Yeah. Before this movie, I'd never seen it like that.
Okay.
Okay, so look at the back of the truck. You see how there's all the guys in all their gear, right?
Yeah.
Later in the movie, an ambulance drives out of there. That's how they planned to get away. So, the getaway vehicle was in the back of the truck.
Was in the back of the truck?
Yeah, but it's not there because they forgot to put it in. Not until later in the script, they're like, hey, guys, we need a way for them to get away. Like, well, fuck. And they fucked up when they wrote the script. And they're like,
they could have literally said, we've locked down the system, move the truck, bring the ambulance.
Yeah, they could have fixed that with a line of throwaway dialogue, but they're like, fuck it, we're too far in production, we got to keep moving.
But they're not George Lucas, so they're not going to.
Exactly. They're not going to despecialize Die Hard. But I thought that was that's something that you never would notice.
You know, I've mostly watched it all these years mindlessly. What was their goal?
They were trying to steal bonds.
I knew it was bearer bonds, right?
Yeah. What the hell are those?
Oh, okay. So now, a bearer bond is a bond that anybody It's basically a bond made out to cash.
Okay.
Meaning anybody who holds the bonds has the legal right to claim the bond.
So I can walk up to any bank in the world.
It would be like having an investment, or like when you get a treasury bond from the government.
Yeah.
It's a promise to you, a specific person, that you will get interest and get it back, and it's a certain value.
Okay.
A bearer bond is the same thing, but it's the equivalent of having a check that's made out to anybody.
Okay.
So whomever has possession of it can claim it anywhere they want, no questions asked, and it's yours.
Okay.
So that's why they want it, because it's non-traceable. It's basically bonds that can be cashed by anybody and can't be traced to a specific transaction.
Weird. Yeah, because I'd always wondered for all these years, what the hell is it?
It's basically a nice way of carrying, instead of carrying cash, like, oh, I'm going to have like $10 million in cash. Well, $10 million in bearer bonds could be like 10 bills.
Yeah.
With, verified note saying that this is what we got. So look at they're going through. It's the days before networking cables. It's all phone line cables.
Yep, way back in the day.
Spliced together. You ever seen those boxes when they have the old Rogers and Bell boxes where they look like nightmarish mounds of wires?
I used to sell those, by the way, when I worked for AT&T in the mid 2000s.
Oh, you'd sell the new wire boxes and everything?
Yeah, trunks and all that shit. I remember upgrading several hotels with those. They're like, yeah, we'll take a bunch of those. Like, all right, cool.
Or like the idea was these ones don't tangle. That's basically what a lot of people were looking for. And now it's all done through fiber optic lines, and that's it. You can't freak or splice or do any of these things
unless you happen to live in weird parts of like Russia or like
or rural areas that still have party lines where they haven't been able to lay a digital line. It's still digital at the source, but once it gets out there, it's an analog to digital conversion. It's kind of trippy seeing how clear this looks.
Better hurry up there, buddy. You and your alligator clips. It's amazing how much of this movie could be solved by a cell phone.
Which did exist.
Yeah, that's true, because Argyle must have been calling him on the car phone. So,
actually, did you know car phones existed in the 50s?
No, I saw them in the 70s.
They basically, you know how they worked?
Radio frequency?
Yes and no. It would be a radio frequency that when you dialed it, it would go to an operator on the other end, like a CB radio.
Yeah.
They would patch you in. Basically, it was basically like holding the CB radio mic to an open line.
Weird.
So I learned about that by watching an old TV show from the 1950s called Man with a Camera, starring Charles Bronson. And he had a car phone. I'm like, how is this like a futuristic? No, but it would only work in the town you were in. So like cab drivers, cops.
So you were ranged.
You were ranged. So the idea was you would have to call on a frequency, and the operator would go, "Which number are you?" It'd be like, "Here's my number." They'd look up today's. They would look up a number to make sure that you're valid.
Yeah,
and they would patch you through. So it was basically like they would dial the phone and hold the phone receiver up to the CB radio. Is basically how it was. This is crystal clear.
Oh yeah, this is such a sharp copy.
So yeah, now you learned something.
There we go. Something you didn't know 5 minutes ago.
It makes sense that car phones were the first cellular phones based on like the whole console could be the
base unit.
Yeah, which back then was not a battery. It worked by plugging into your lighter. It was basically there because the tech was so huge to do the receiving.
Mm-hmm.
And now you can get cell phones the size of credit cards. Yeah,
it's amazing how much power is in the average cell phone. I was watching a YouTube video the other day. There's the computing power in your cell phone is 100,000 or almost 200,000 Voyager 1 probes.
Well, I've been watching that For All Mankind show, the Ron Moore one on Apple.
Yeah.
And it's almost over, and it's got one more episode this season. It's really good. You're gonna everybody should watch it.
I found out they gave me a year of Apple TV.
Yeah, with my
phone. I was
with my free
cool.
tablet from the bank. That's how I got it, and it has like HDR and everything. C is pretty good. That's the Jason Momoa one. It's not great, but it's pretty good. For All Mankind is the one you have to watch. It's what if the Russians landed on the moon first and the space race didn't end, and it had a ever so slightly diverging history that slowly butterfly effects out. And they were showing in there, like, the big deal was making a phone call from the moon. And I'm like, yeah, well, there's these radio waves. It's like, no, it's the first time they use satellites to do that, to beam it.
You know who would have played a great Joseph Takagi? James Hong.
You're just saying that because James Hong can play anybody?
That's true. Fucking love that guy.
That guy almost looks like James Hong a little bit, just a longer face. James Hong is in every movie.
He really is. Whenever you need an old, wise-sounding Asian guy, you go to him.
The snarl the guy gave him there.
Fucking Alan Rickman. And he didn't want to do this movie either because he was like a Broadway actor at this point or something.
Well, this is what broke him into the States.
I think so, yeah. Like, I can't imagine American cinema without Alan Rickman.
Wait, and he went, was it a few years ago?
Yeah, he died like
a couple of years?
A couple of years anyway. He's been gone a while.
Well, that was the thing. Like, it's, not to date us, but like I read earlier today, I didn't realize Danny Aiello went last week.
Who is that again?
Danny, I was going to say, you might only know him from the Family Guy reference.
I've heard the name.
In the Family Guy, he named his penis Danny Aiello. Okay. Don't you want to say hi to Danny Aiello? No, he was, or actually, have you ever seen Do the Right Thing?
No.
Tons of other movies that were either gangster related or just good dramas. In the same league and age group. Actually, he's a little older, like one generation older than like Scorsese and all those people.
Okay.
I didn't realize he was 86, but yeah, he was probably most well known in the last 20 some odd years for the Spike Lee movie.
Okay.
When you see his picture, you'll know exactly who he is. But yeah, a lot of these great character actors, they're gone. And it's surprising like how fast it happened.
Well, I'm glad Rickman at least got to get through the 7 or 8 Harry Potter movies.
Yeah, there's a legacy there too. And like some of the best, like think about the villains, like the actors they got for these films, at least the first few. Because you got Jeremy Irons.
Yep.
Who was the second one again?
Robert Patrick shows up, but he's not a lead villain.
Who's the lead villain in the second film?
Some general guy.
Okay.
Some Mexican general or
something.
Yeah, that's how Die Hard 2 has really cool sequences.
Like, I was gonna say, you remember the airport, you remember you remember Family Matters guy and everything.
Yeah. Die Hard 3 had Jeremy Irons
and Sam Jackson.
Die Hard 4 had Timothy Olyphant.
Yeah, I tried rewatching that. That movie sucks.
Which one? Live Free?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you always use it as your catchphrase, and I'm like, every time you say it, I'm like, I hate that movie.
I just love the saying. It just sounds cool. But yeah,
it's basically live free or die hard. What does that even mean?
Well, I've always taken it to mean,
what does the die hard mean?
Live life to the fullest.
Live life to the fullest, or die in or die in a horrible way.
Yes.
Die hard. What, like
Die hard against fuck?
What's a hard death? Being pushed through between two rocks by like a pneumatic press?
Yes.
Like, that's a hard death.
Yep. Or being, I don't know, blown up. I don't know. I got nothing here.
It'd be like, yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker, live free or die hard. Okay, and then some people come in with blowtorches, and you're like, I didn't mean die that hard.
It's funny because my original radio catchphrase, and I only used it for like a few weeks, was to find a different tagline from a popular movie and that would be my sign off every show. So,
Okay.
for example, live free or die hard. Who are you gonna call?
I just thought of some really inappropriate.
Life is like a box of chocolates, shit like that, right?
I thought some really, really inappropriate ones from Fast Times Ridgemont High, and I'm going to tell you off air. And if anybody private messages me, maybe I'll tell you privately.
But yeah, it was like shit like that was the idea. But I just loved how Live Free or Die Hard just flies off the tongue. It sounds really good.
Actually, I can say one from Fast Times. Like, you sign off the show just randomly and be like, doesn't anybody fucking knock anymore? That's how you finish it.
I wish I could end shows like that. But yeah, it's just little things like that.
So that's good to know. I didn't know that's where you came up with the whole idea.
Yeah, because I wanted, because I've always modeled myself after the 80s and 90s radio DJs where they had personality and type.
Like Tarzan Dan.
Like fucking Tarzan Dan and Kenny the Spaceman. Howard Stern was a big influence. Don Imus to a lesser extent.
And you know where a lot of those, like, there's people go back to the Wolfman back in the pirate radio of the 60s, right? But like in Canada, especially in Ontario, probably one of the most prominent ones from back in our parents' day, and maybe even a little before, was I forget which station. Was it Chum with Jungle Jim?
I don't know.
He was one of the first like big personalities like that back when, because remember, radio hosts before that were supposed to be like NPR radio hosts, like very, but it was like the kids, like the Chum charts, which was the Canadian version of like Top 40. Bang. Do it the hard way.
Get this out of here.
Oh, but yeah, it's funny. I didn't realize it's how you got your idea for doing all that. I just thought you thought it was like the coolest thing ever.
My wife is delivering cookies.
What are these named again?
Christmas crack,
which is what?
Cocaine.
Well, it's
coffee, and chocolate.
Cracker toffee chocolate. Yes. And what was the other stuff I had that was Rudolph balls? Rudolph's balls, marshmallow, caramel, and Rice Krispies. So excuse our eating.
Another thing that I think the Die Hard movies, or at least the first one did, gave you such a charismatic villain. And we talked about this briefly just a few minutes ago. But I cannot get over just how much Alan Rickman commands whatever scene he's in. And that's the theater in him, I think. Like that like kind of Broadway stage experience.
And a very smart choice with going with Jeremy Irons as
his brother on.
Because he's believable in like very similar gravitas and idea. A little they can both be very reserved, but in different ways. Like it's reserved, but then his would be explosive, whereas Rickman's is reserved and cocky.
Mm-hmm.
In a way that you can see that they would play the right kind of brothers, but with unique personalities. They could do another one where it's like one of their kids. I never saw the fifth one because I heard it was bad.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either. I've been kind of avoiding it. But
we have it as part of this box set, so we can maybe eventually go through them.
Yeah, well,
Are they making another one? I heard that they're ramping up to do one.
They were getting close to production, but then Disney shut them down. Which is kind of, I think
it's got to be the right script is probably what they're going for.
Well, the idea is they were going to do a prequel / continuation. It would be John McClane as a cop in like the 70s, and then it would come back to haunt him like 40 years later. Oh,
like a beat cop in like 79 or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Or like 19. Like I guess they could do it like 1981. He's a beat cop, and well, how long does it take to make detective usually? 10 years?
Something like that. Yeah.
So yeah, make it like 78, and then like right out of the police academy sort of thing.
Yeah, and there was
God, can you imagine if it was police academy like 11, John McClane?
Man, but yeah, like I was hoping they'd do one, but if Bruce Willis just isn't into it, that's okay.
I read that the reason they were considering it was the surprise at how successful the last two Rocky movies have been.
Yeah.
Like they came out, I mean, they're the Creed, like it's younger people, but how they found a way to balance the old cast with the new.
Yeah.
And Stallone did a good job with those. And even to a lesser extent, the Rambo coming back didn't make crazy bank, but it made its money.
Mhm.
And they're like, oh, look at action stars in their 70s can work. Why can't we do it with, a guy in the early 60s? I think he's only like 61 or 62.
Who, Bruce?
Maybe 63. I think like he's not that old. Turn the trucker. He's 64. So that's comparatively being 64 in an age when two of the biggest action stars are like 72,
which is ridiculous because they're still jacked.
And well, I mean, even to a lesser extent, look at Linda Hamilton. She's 62 or 63.
Yeah, and she got into good shape
like,
for a Terminator.
And I mean, she was humble about it when she was doing the tours with the press junkets, and she's like, well, I'm really not at the shape I was before. She's like, everything sags and falls when you're my age, but she has the right attitude, and they cast her, and she was fantastic. She was in better shape now than she was 10 years ago.
Yeah, I'd like to see another Die Hard, but I think certain franchises should be allowed to go off into the sunset.
If they do, remember they talked about doing an Expendables but women cast?
Yeah.
Expendables. Now that we can see it, Linda Hamilton as like the old leader.
I know they wanted to. I know at one time they wanted to get Michelle Rodriguez.
Yeah,
it was wanted to get Mila Jovovich.
They had Michelle Yeoh and a bunch of.
Yeoh, yeah.
I mean, Michelle Yeoh. Again, she's in her 50s and she can still act and do crazy martial arts and stuff. So it would work. But
who's older, her or Ming Na Wen?
Same age, I think.
I get Ming Na.
Like 50, 51, awesome 52.
In Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Something like that. Like they're not traditionally the age of a superheroine.
Yeah.
But they can pull it off still. Boom. Here we go. Now the tides are turning.
And that's another thing about the Die Hard movies. He's not RoboCop. He's not Super Cop beating the shit out of these guys. He gets the shit kicked out of him.
Oh yeah, did you hear the rumors that they're interested in getting Peter Weller back for one more?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, isn't he always said he was too old to do it even like 10, 15 years ago. But the talk was about how light they've been able to make the suits and material now, that he would only need an hour of makeup instead of like an arduous, heavy process that would be.
It was like 14 hours to get him into the suit.
Yeah, he basically spent the entire shooting day getting into the suit, would shoot for 2 hours and then get out of it.
Yeah, no.
And not to mention it was boiling hot. Like now it's not even like silicone. Like they're doing this like the latex silicone. They have these like really, really super light, almost like flexible plastic materials. And the reason people are saying he might do it is the talk was they might let him direct.
That'd be cool.
I mean, short of having Paul Verhoeven back, like, could there be a better choice?
No, yeah.
And here's the weird thing: he's a fine art. He has a doctorate in fine arts.
Yeah, there's a documentary happening now. It's like called the Robo Doc. He's the only one who didn't participate in it, but he gave the film his blessing, and he's allowed use of his old archival interviews.
Okay, so he just didn't. He was like, I know he does acting, but he's apparently been primarily focused on his like academic career.
Yeah, he said, I've talked about RoboCop enough, but this is cool. Go forward with it. Like they got everyone who's still alive. They got like Ronnie Cox, and I didn't think he was still alive, to do stuff like that too. So I was pretty happy about that. This fucking kills me. This is what made me a fan of this movie. I saw it.
Ho, ho,
now
ho.
I have a machine gun.
Ho, ho, ho.
Ho.
You want to hear a funny dark joke?
Yes.
So I'm going through, I saw that Danny Aiello passed, and then apparently Pugsley Addams from the original Addams Family passed.
Yeah.
And almost that entire cast is gone now.
Yeah.
Except for John Aston, Sean Aston's dad. Yeah. And our friend of the show and collaborator occasionally, TV's Mr. Neil.
Yeah.
He posts He goes, somewhere in the world, John Astin is experiencing the quickening. and I was like, that's so dark, and I couldn't stop laughing because I'm just thinking, you're right, he is like almost 100, and everybody else is gone. He's just like, yes, more.
Give me the prize.
The prize. And I was picturing him with a sword. The prize with his Gomez Adams mustache.
He needs to find Clancy Brown.
Oh man, Clancy Brown would have been a good villain for the series.
Yeah, I could picture him being some goon.
Like early 90s.
Oh yeah,
he has the voice. Think about him relaying messages over the radio. Jim,
is it a spoiler to tell you if someone stars in something?
Stars in something?
Yes.
Is that something very current, like right now happening?
Yes.
Probably.
Fuck, because I want to tell you because it's cool.
But as in, like, is it a movie?
No.
Is it a TV show?
Yes.
Is it Mandalorian?
Yes.
No, because I'm going to watch that tonight.
Okay. Well, you'll find out in a few hours.
I'll find out in a few. I've been trying to avoid things. I was watching with my brother, but I'm a couple episodes behind because he's moving. So he just told me to go ahead and watch them. So I'm literally going to be watching 2 episodes.
Die Hard could work as a limited edition or like limited run.
There's
TV
talk
series?
of. I was going to say there's talk of putting that out. What was it? Beverly Hills Cop is being turned into a Netflix show.
I think it's a movie.
No, it's a Netflix show.
Oh, show
with Eddie Murphy coming back to reprise his role.
Wow.
Because he has that crazy deal now that the Dolomite
did so well.
Yeah. I mean, this is the only way you're really going to get a lot of these things made.
I would love to see. Man, can you imagine how much trouble they could get into if you got Axel Foley and John McClane in the same?
That's what I'm thinking.
Actually, was it you or was it somebody else? I have this conversation of where we created the Ultimate Expendables, but they were action comedy characters. So we had John McClane, Axel Foley.
I think you talked about other people
Riggs.
on the podcast, but I talked to you in private about it too.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Would you throw in some trauma characters too, or did it have to be like serious action? Serious-ish. I know we talked about in private, and we can talk about it here while this is happening. The Expendables, but only direct to video or people that had like one movie go to theaters. So it's all like Jeff Speakman and
Jeff
Wincott, all the Jeffs. Who else?
You got to get one version of Van Damme.
Well, the lead, no, because he's been in way too many theatrical movies. You could only have one leader of the theatrical movie guys that had like somewhat success, and that's Michael Dudikoff, the American Ninja, because he had like 10 movies go to theaters.
That's true.
And he has to be the leader of all the terrible people. It's like literally the B squad, the B movie squad of them. So it's like all of them, and the bad guy is Kevin Sorbo, and he's like a crazy religious nut, like real life.
Yeah.
So it's like Kevin Sorbo and all like the bad villains, like that one. I don't know if he's still alive. The henchmen all have to be from like those action movies. So it has to have that one.
They have to get the fucking Asian bad guy.
I was going to say
from here.
Is it the Asian guy that has the skullet and the Fu Manchu?
Yep, that guy.
That guy from every Chuck Norris movie ever made. You have to have him. I was thinking that exactly what I was going to say. You have to have him. And you have to have somebody who's in
one. You have to get one of the Die Hard guys if he still has that long blonde hair.
Yeah, I think he's dead.
Carl. Oh.
I'm really sure he died like a long time ago. Gary Busey has to be in it.
Yep.
He has to be a bad guy who betrays the bad guys to become a crazy good guy, like chaotic good. If that was his alignment. But if you're gonna go for henchman, it has to have one current henchman, and that would be, I think his name's Tate Fletcher. I think he's an MMA guy, like a UFC MMA fighter, who's now in every like John Wick movie. He's the big guy that has the big beard in every movie now.
Okay.
And he fights him. And you got to have the guy, the cock meat sandwich guy in it. From the look he just gave me from Harold and Kumar Escape from Guantanamo Bay.
I haven't seen that.
He's the hillbilly looking tall dude with the long beard, and he tells him it's lunchtime. But he's always playing a crazy hillbilly dude. And if you don't know the cock meat sandwich, you have to look it up.
All right.
It's exactly what you think it is.
Okay. I've always loved that gun. That's a Steyr AUG. That's a German assault rifle.
Which makes sense because they're
German.
Germans.
And they're using MP5s, which is Heckler and Koch, again, German.
You would have thought that the German actors in this movie would have tried to train, like help with like coaching the accent of what's his name?
Hans Gruber.
Yeah. Like it's like there is no attempt. Whereas Jeremy Irons is better at doing a German accent.
They're like, just get someone who sounds European.
Like I'll give that Jeremy Irons. Like, do you know who would have been an amazing villain here? Because he could have been absorbed in the role. Gary Oldman.
Yeah.
But not. He was still a little bit young here. He would have been in his like early 30s. And I didn't like Gary Oldman in like Get Off My Plane, Air Force One. Gary Oldman circa 2001. Like
so just before Batman Begins.
Just before Batman Begins, when he's not like old but not young. Can you imagine him being the third brother or a cousin or something? Like
that would be weird.
Another Gruber. You would have been like, oh, who's that actor? He's amazing. And you'd be like, it's not. Like he's one of those guys that disappears.
Yeah, like the first movie I ever saw Oldman in.
Hey, look, it looks like Nacho Libre John Candy.
He always plays that guy always plays like a random dude because I've seen him in like other movies too.
I see. What is that? A Circle K?
Yeah, because it's not 7-Eleven signing.
Which I still can't believe that Circle K is Canadian now.
I know that's weird.
That like that they bought all the American division.
Look at those gas prices. Don't you wish?
And those are per gallon.
Yeah.
So that
4 liters.
So yeah, just under 4 liters. So, oh my God, the 4 liters. That means, dude, that means gas was 20 cents a liter. Then if you do the conversion rate to today, that would only be about 35 cents. Meaning like gas is even including inflation, gas is like 7 times what it used to be. Or 4 times what it used to be. No wonder nobody can afford to drive anywhere.
Fucking right, man.
I remember my parents making me go and buy them cigarettes, which wasn't legal, but they'd be like, they give me a note, pick us up these cigarettes from the corner store, and I pick it up for them. I never smoked anything, but they were like, the cigarettes have gone to $8 a pack. I heard it's over $20 now.
It's ridiculous.
And I mean, sure, obviously quit, but I'm thinking like that's preying upon people that are addicted.
It really is because the cost of production hasn't gone up that much.
Well, especially when you could go and get reserve cigarettes.
Yeah,
you can get like it's equivalent of like 5 or 8 packs for the price of like one.
And we just hand you a shopping bag full of them.
Yes, and I mean, like I'm in no way promoting smoking, but I was thinking like for those people that are having a hard time quitting, that's an insane hike in price in the last 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Even booze hasn't gone up that much. Oh yeah. Buck of beer's back.
Fuck off.
The only thing I like about it is it's the no name brand, literally the yellow label, and it's just no name. And you know what it says on it? Beer. I laugh. Like it looks like something you'd see in like a Batman '60s TV show. But like, sure, I almost want to get one just to have for that. It'd be terrible beer, but
I will say this, and I'll probably have to hand in my man card at some point. I have not tasted one good beer in 38 years.
No, beer never tastes like. Here's the thing: some people like the subtle hints of it. Blah, blah, you learn to like it. Blah blah blah. I have never liked heavy ones. I've tried different ones that are at the board game cafes, like ones that are like 8% strong beer. Beer is beer. I do occasionally. I'll give one thing. I used to like Corona Light or like the really uber light, like we're talking like 2% alcohol, like almost nothing beers.
Yeah.
If it's ice cold and it's like 50 degrees out, which is like 120 or whatever in American, when it's like boiling hot, a cold beer for whatever reason quenches your thirst better. It's probably because the carbonation and that keeps the cold in you better. There's something about a really ice cold beer on a hot day that's good. Other than that, ugh. And I'm not a drinker at all. Like I'll have a mixed drink here and there, but my go-to in high school when, oh no, sorry, I wasn't drinking in high school, but my go-to in high school, if I would have been drinking, was.
Oh, so neat thing.
Yes.
I don't know if I tell you about. Part of this scene was an accident.
Really?
The fall you see was a fucked up take.
Oh, really?
They're like, just fucking use it.
I've actually kind of wondered that before.
Yeah, when he catches that side, he wasn't supposed to. This is
you can see there's a matte painting below.
Yeah. So this is like a 40-foot drop, and he just happened to catch. And they're like, that sounds cool. Let's work it in somehow.
Now, oh yeah. Do you remember back in the day when you could get green apple pop?
Yep.
Do you remember when you can get diet green apple pop from Sobeys?
Yep.
So I used to get in high school, which was 100% okay, because I looked way older. I was the 16-year-old that looked like he was 19. And yes, Americans, we can drink at 19.
Yes.
18 in Quebec.
Mm-hmm.
I would go and get the Smirnoff, but they had the green apple Smirnoff.
Yeah.
If you had the green apple Smirnoff and mixed it with green apple pop, it tasted like candy. Oof. That drop. Even though he's safe, that's scary shit.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I realized? Star Trek Nemesis is Die Hard in space.
It's been so long.
They have that big fight. They have that big fight against Ron Perlman.
Wow, I forgot about
Ron
that.
Perlman's the main henchman for what's his name?
Who plays Shinzon again?
Oh, Tom Hardy.
That's what I thought.
First big role.
He's a clone of Picard.
Oh, here's the classic, the classic monologue. Yeah, there we go. I know we're talking through a lot of this, but everybody's seen this movie. It's just, you have a lot of anecdotes. I'm just surprised at how good the transfer can look for a movie that was relatively low budget considering the high concept, but they were able to get it all done in pretty much one location.
Yeah, like they shot all this on some of it was on a soundstage, obviously, but most of it was shot between those floors of the Fox Plaza. Like I said, really watch the movies that made us. It's like, I think maybe 45 minutes. It's totally worth it.
You know how I know what that gun is, other than when you sang it? That is in Jackie Brown. When they have the girls with guns videotape playing on TV, Sam Jackson talks about it.
My favorite line out of that.
Is that the one where he says, I think that's the gun where he says, AK-47 is.
When you absolutely positively need to kill
every motherfucker in the room except no substitute. And then he leaves, and there's a bunch of little talk back and forth between Fonda and De Niro, and she just randomly, want to fuck? And he's like, yeah. It's like 90 seconds later, he's done. Oh, man. Man, oh, man.
And it's weird, because after this movie, Bruce Willis did some weird fucking projects. I found out Hudson Hawk was supposed to be really big, and it wasn't. I've always wanted to see it, but I've never seen it.
Guess who's getting that for review on Blu-ray?
Oh, Christ.
Us. Mill Creek's putting it out.
Oh, boy.
We're also getting Vibes at the same time. That is a Jeff Goldblum action comedy with Cyndi Lauper, and they play psychics trying to find a mystical power.
All right, that's a thing.
Yeah, we will be watching that.
What was I talking about?
You were saying that he did a bunch of weird stuff like Hudson
Hawk.
Hawk.
Yeah. So it's weird. He has these mega successes with this. Then he randomly does Look Who's Talking. Look Who's Talking 2.
A terrible album.
A terrible fucking album. And then his career essentially dies off. And then people say his revival was with Pulp Fiction. Much like John Travolta's.
That's 94.
Because he had a string of stinkers.
That's 94, right?
Yeah, 94, 95 at the latest.
Yeah, because right after that he does
Die Hard with a Vengeance.
And then the same year, within that same couple year span, was it Celtic Pride?
I think.
No, Last Boy Scout.
Yep.
Last Boy Scout, Striking Distance, which is Die Hard in a Boat.
And Armageddon comes out in 98, 99.
Yeah. And then he has here and there, but that's when he became an asshole, apparently.
Yeah. I hear he's always been difficult to work with.
But apparently he became difficult to be friends with.
That's unfortunate.
You know what I mean? Like, there's a point where money can either help. Money will always enhance the personality you already have, and it will show the personality you already had. It just amplifies it by 10 times. So if you're kind of a prick, you're kind of a prick.
Yeah, he'll turn you into something special.
Schnell.
I love the way German sound. I don't know why. There's just something about it.
Schnell means quick.
Schnell.
You've got to see. Everybody has to look up Arnold Schwarzenegger, Linda Hamilton, Terminator: Dark Fate. Type it in YouTube and Austrian snacks, and it's them trying each snacks from America and Austria, and then comparing them. And he starts yelling, "Bring out the schnapps, Schnell!" Oh, he got wasted. I'm a herpaderp cop. I literally thought Family Matters was in this universe.
That would be kind of funny if
Like-
this is what
like-
happens after he
Like as a
graduates.
little kid, we never watched a lot of the sitcoms.
Mhm.
So I legit
You built your own cinematic universe.
hand to God, I thought Family Matters was made to be a comedy spin-off of his character from this. Like, pretty brutal.
Ooh.
But you know what I mean? Like, it's weird, but the things that kids do in their mind. And I kept watching Family Matters. I'm like, when is he going to go solve crimes? And he just doesn't.
Yeah, Carl Winslow was a pretty bad cop. He didn't really do a whole lot. Whereas Al Powell gets shot at by machine guns and then even helps him out in the second movie. But he doesn't come back for the third or the fourth.
If they do another one, they'll bring him back. Is he?
I hope so.
Wait, he's not dead, is he?
No,
I don't want. It's Uncle Phil is dead.
Yeah, they bring Reginald Vell Johnson back for that Movies That Made Us. Which I was really, they brought him back. The guy that plays Argyle, his name's like, it's not Devereaux. It's pronounced a really weird way.
God damn it, Jesus Christ. I love when they all use those old, that's before the Crown Vic. It's just on hold.
Just rocking out.
He's a good valet. Sorry, not a valet.
Limo driver.
Limo driver, that's right. That looks so funny. That was almost like a Batman stinger from the 60s.
When they brought Reginald back to Fox Plaza, he's like, yeah, it's mostly the same except one of the trees is now gone. That his car passes. And this guy always plays the douchebag in every movie he's in.
See, here's the problem. He's spending all this time trying to shut down the power grid because of what it's doing to the environment.
He's like, oh, become a news reporter. I can affect the world this way.
I want these men arrested.
Johnson & Johnson. We're going to need some new FBI guys.
Listen, dickless. That's right. This man has no dick. For such a great actor, such a bad accent, but they probably didn't give him enough time to prepare.
Well, they probably just let him do what he wanted.
But he was working with Germans. That could be like, what accent from what city do you want to have? And he's like, German. Like, oh, God. It always blows my mind when you meet people that don't realize that other languages from other countries have different dialects from different areas of where they come from. It's like, yeah, but like, especially like, it's like Canadians or Americans that think like that. And it's like, yeah, but look at people from state to state sound different and province to province.
Yeah. Regional accents.
Yes, exactly. It's like like my mom who's German can tell where somebody is from based on the way they say certain words. It'd be like, oh, you're from, Berlin, you're from Frankfurt, you're from this, because you will have a very distinct dialect. Not so much anymore with the younger generations, because everybody's raised on TV and having this sort of
globalization.
It's like California, like everybody sounds like they're from California mixed with Pennsylvania and like Michigan now. Everybody on television. And that's sort of like that's happening in Germany. So like when they learn English now, they sound like us. They don't sound like Germans trying to speak English, because we all assimilate things differently. And now that the internet's there, it's crazy. So like my mom says she has a harder time telling German accents anymore because they're getting less prominent.
I can tell some American things really different. In fact, because I listen to a radio station out of Philly, there's a Philadelphia accent.
Yeah,
with certain words. I'm thinking, wow, I never really noticed that.
Well, Boston, cacksucker.
Oh my God, Boston is bad. I spent a lot of time in Boston, and some of them cabbies. Let me tell you, some nice people, some real fucking pricks. My favorite fucking. That's another part of this movie that sealed the deal for me. Was yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. Like that changed my life in like the 90s. When I heard it, I would not stop saying it. I remember sitting in my living room playing GoldenEye,
Captain Falcon,
with my friend. I think it was my friend Jarrett, maybe my friend Owen, and just playing GoldenEye. And I'd get the RCP-90, which is that overpowered machine gun, and I'd be like, "Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker!" It just light up the room. Like, I fucking hate you, Mike. I'm like, that's right, yippee-ki-yay.
Oh man, I just love all the hair. I feel like they gave them all long hair, even though they're supposed to be like military dudes, so they would look cool when they run.
Well, they're probably supposed to be like some militant offshoot group or something.
What's weird is seeing him so thin, because I've always known him for being a little older and a little thicker.
Yeah, because I think he was at his heaviest when he did Dogma.
Probably.
Maybe the Harry Potter movies.
Like the other guy that's like that, where like his early career is so definitively different looking than his later career, is Dr. Octopus.
Alfred Molina.
Yeah. Early in his career, you see him in Indiana Jones, and he's so thin and different looking. And then you start seeing the transition a little bit, like he's a little, like tiny bit heavier when he does Boogie Nights. And like 4 years later, he's 100 pounds heavier. You know who that guy looks like?
Who?
Barry Goldberg. Wait till it goes back to him. Is Barry Goldberg? Not the real Barry Goldberg, the TV Barry Goldberg.
Troy Gentile or however it's pronounced.
Isn't he like my age? Isn't like almost 30?
He's definitely older than he should be.
Like if that dude had 5 O'Clock Shadow in the first season, and they're like, what, 8 seasons in?
7. Yeah, they just celebrated 150. Which I always think how they did their Die Hard episode, Yippee-ki-yay, Melon Farmer. And they showed the clip of Yippee-ki-yay, Mr. Falcon, which is my favorite TV edit of all time.
There are some other really good ones, but that's the big TV edit.
Oh, and then there's Scarface. Where did you get that scar, tough guy? Eating pineapple?
Yeah. They don't say pineapple.
Yeah, another great one is... Do you see what happens, Larry? Do you see what happens when you find a stranger in the Alps?
Oh, God. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think I've ever heard fuck a stranger in the ass that many times in a movie that I guess wasn't a porno. Definitely not. That's not a Coen Brothers.
You find a stranger in the Alps?
I mean, maybe...
I'd like to know who wrote that line.
Maybe it was like a Cornhole Brothers movie. Gross. Look at, it's the 80s. Every cop's out of shape. They're not fat, but every cop is out of shape. Like, how does that even happen? Oh, look, it's the
The guy who always plays the asshole police captain.
The detention teacher from Breakfast Club.
Oh yeah, it is.
And
he's dead too, I think.
And after Van Wilder, I think a few years later.
I think so, yeah.
I just wanted to say, mess with the bull, get the horns in every movie he's in. He used a no-no word. You know what would have made this movie better?
Ted Danson?
Detective Stabler. When he had hair back then.
He's a surprisingly versatile guy.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that portable TV.
Yeah.
Back when rabbit ears could actually pick up stuff.
She got some attitude.
Some people, I gotta piss.
He's rocking that pencil-thin beard.
It works for him. Because the next movie I remember him in after this was Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Oh, yeah.
And Cancel Christmas. I'll scoop their eyeballs out with a spoon. Why? Because it hurts more.
Oh, my God.
That just makes me think of what the fuck ever happened to Kevin Costner.
He's been doing movies. You just haven't been paying attention.
I guess he just hasn't done anything huge.
Oh, he hasn't done anything huge since that Ashton Kutcher movie, the firefighter one.
Oh, I vaguely remember that one. Yeah.
Was it like Ladder something or
Ladder 49?
Yeah, something like that. Oh, and he was in Jack Ryan Shadow Recruit. The
movie?
Yeah.
I haven't seen that one. Actually, I need to watch Jack Ryan season 2 at some point. Yeah. The first season was pretty cool.
Tomorrow.
No, Mandalorian. Fuck you.
No, tomorrow.
Fuck you, Mandalorian.
He's like, wet. Also, he's supposed to be driving.
Yep. Don't drink and drive, kids. The bear will drive. You understand.
Did you ever see Grandma's Boy?
No, actually. And it's weird. I have a copy of that movie that was given to me in college, and I can't remember how
that we are going to watch. You'll watch it, maybe do a commentary on it after. You have to watch it. All I'll say is drive, monkey, drive. They get real stoned and have a monkey drive their car. We don't know shit. We don't know shit. That's such an 80s thing to right. Like you like the not caring if you like how unrealistic that is for a cop to say that.
Yeah, no, you're not saying that in 2019.
You notice that there's not SWAT there?
Yeah, SWAT's there. They
were the guys he rolled SWAT. I didn't see it.
Yeah. And then they actually wrote little things into the script. When the SWAT teams are going through the bushes, one of them pricks their hand on one of the rose bushes.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of funny. Just to punch it up a little bit to make it funny.
Yeah, but realistically what they would have done, right? This is SWAT. They would have rappelled in from the roof.
Well, getting air support, they probably would have done ground because it's easier to. I'd rather secure the floor.
Oh, and they're rather high up for them to go in from that height back then. Look at those control data boxes, all fit in an SD card.
Kind of amazing how far the tech has come.
It can fit in something the size of a fingernail. It's funny, SWAT team doesn't wear hats like that. You're right. Yeah, that looked more real. There he is.
Yep, this guy always shows up as
Chuck Norris has killed that man in, I think, 15 different movies. I don't know his name, but if he's still alive, they should do an interview with him.
Well, hey, if you're gonna die, you might as well have a Kit Kat or whatever.
It's like for 20 years he kept the exact same hair and facial hair.
Well, he was probably told it was like you'll get hired.
Yeah, like every Steven Seagal movie, every Chuck Norris movie he's in.
I'm pretty sure he did like a bunch of TV too.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's similar to how Jackie Chan had a stunt crew in China, if he was part of a very specific stunt crew. I know he was used in almost every single canon film.
Yeah.
Like he might have been one of the stunt coordinators, that they just always had because they could rely on him. It's like what? He gets kicked and shot well. I like those guns. What are they?
Those are M16s. They're not a variant that I can tell. I'd have to get a closer look at them, but they're definitely an M16 base. Which the standard is now like the M4A, which is a variant of the M16. We're going for the lights.
This is the unbelievable. Everybody in SWAT is that dumb.
Yeah, like really, guys, you haven't handled this situation before. But one of my favorite video games of all time.
Mike, are you gonna burn it? Burn it, Mike.
Is SWAT. My favorite game of all. It's an RTS game. SWAT 2.
I remember seeing some Let's Plays from some people.
Fucking love that game.
You're in my way, sir.
Oh, SWAT 4. Yeah, that's ridiculous.
That's the one I remember. You know what SWAT team rolls with now, eh? Especially out there.
Breacher devices?
It's this tank, basically.
Yep.
It's bigger than a Hummer. It's like a tank. Ooh, that was a good scream. Oh, that's it there. That's the earlier version of that Black Beauty sort of thing.
Yep. That'd be something you'd see used in multiple drug busts. I remember they rolled that out in Straight Outta Compton a few times.
If you ever watch the new version, like that SWAT TV show based on the 70s one that's out now, they have it's like that, but a little taller. It's like an SUV on steroids. Oh, that's ADR. The ADR'd him in.
What are they screaming?
They're saying the same thing,
Just hurry,
but
hurry,
the
hurry.
voice was detached from the body. You could tell it wasn't coming from him there.
Yeah.
It probably didn't come in clear enough, or it was too heavy of an accent. It sounded like they got an American to dub him over.
Oh.
Sometimes they'll do that. Like if the accent's too thick, they'll get somebody else to dub the accent. Here we go. What? Is he your hero?
The quarterback is toast. Always love that line.
That's like the cheapest chair ever. I love they're using military hardware.
Oh yeah, like that thing is
Hey,
so
that
fucked.
sounds like Star Wars.
Well, it is Fox, so they'd have a common sound library. Yeah, they're dead.
Like, ah!
This just makes you think how unrealistic Call of Duty is. Because one of my characters carries a launcher as her secondary. And here they bolt this fucker to the floor.
Now, that would have been a launcher probably from the 70s or 80s.
Yeah.
If we're talking a launcher from today, where it's like basically
portable?
like a micro launcher.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. On the Blu-ray, you can really see the model.
Oh, yeah. It's him.
I think we have the same street decorations this year.
Just the idea of the police using artillery is kind of a funny mental image.
Oh, you made that up. You ever seen Heat?
No, actually, I know the famous sequence, but I've never seen
That is one you should watch and then talk about one time. It's probably the most tense I've ever seen a crime thriller be. And not just that shootout sequence, like the rest of the movie. That's the first time I think that was ever said in a movie. Like a big movie like that. I'm not the one who's got butt fucked on national TV. And that's at a time when that term was much more taboo.
Mm-hmm. See, and that's the thing. Like, Bruce Willis has that comedic timing that works. Like, sure, you could get Arnold to say that, but it wouldn't sound right.
Well, yeah, I'm not the one that got butt fucked on television.
Yeah, it would sound
television.
weird.
I'm not the one that got the butt fucked on television.
Instead, you get this snarky guy.
Stallone?
Yeah.
I'm not the one that got butt fucked on television.
And he has to deliver it in his Cobretti outfit with the fucking sunglasses and all that shit.
Maybe you get butt fucked on television.
I'm still afraid of Sly, though. He's a very big man.
He's a very large, very steroided out 73-year-old.
Like, you look at him the wrong way, he'll kill you.
He's in better shape now than he was when he was in his 50s.
Which is weird.
He's like steroids all the way, all day. You know who? If they cast this today, you know who that would be?
Who?
Bradley Cooper.
I could see that, actually.
Look at that face, and tell me.
I can see Bradley Cooper. Yeah. Kind of a shitty way to kill him, but I could totally see it. That's what I say. This movie should never be remade. I think this is actually in the Library of Congress.
Might be. It has to be a certain age, I think, before they. I know.
Clerks just got in,
so maybe 20. Is it 25 years is the minimum time?
I think so, yeah. What are you talking about?
Greed is good. Actually, do you know who he looks like?
Who?
The guy from District 9, Charlton Copley.
I still haven't seen that movie. It's been on my list for years.
I think he played the guy in the A-Team, the crazy guy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know his face?
Yes.
And Sony's Powers TV show.
Which nobody saw.
I did. But yeah, that's who he looks like, or like a lot like him. Look at the thermos.
I used to have a thermos like that to take to school. The old Coleman. Yes, Ayla, I give you love and kisses.
Kitty cats. I hadn't been visiting in a while, and your cats were all over me.
You.
Like they were like clinging on.
They're like, Uncle Alex.
I think your cat just sneezed.
She did. No sneezing, Ayla. I give you love.
It really, it's like Bradley Cooper and that Charlton guy like merged into one person. But actually, you know what? Bradley Cooper.
Yeah.
Like 100% could have played him. Now, who would play everybody else if you modern cast them? Like, Bruce Willis couldn't be Bruce Willis. So would that be Channing Tatum's kind of goony looking? Like he's like a little too much like a Neanderthal.
I'm trying to think of someone who's good looking. You want someone who has that dad appeal.
But like, you know who I would have said would love to have played him, but he still looks too baby-facious?
Who?
Why am I drawing a blank on his name now?
What's he from?
NSYNC.
Justin Timberlake?
Yes.
I could see that.
But he's a little too baby-facey.
If you wanted the body type, but he's a little too ripped, but he's got the comedic timing, Chris Pratt.
But if you're gonna go, it's got to be a little drier, a little bit more wooden, and age like supposed to be 35.
Yeah,
because that's how old he was here, right around like 35 or so. There's not a whole lot in that space right now. Oh, it would be one of the Hemsworths.
I could see that.
It would have to be a toned down Hemsworth. Because I can't see any of the other famous Chris's right now crawling through that crap and doing it.
Yeah. dumb shit.
Stupid. I would have loved to see his brains go everywhere, though. Go fuck yourself. Wait, would Winslow character would he
He'd
be?
probably come back.
No.
Actually, no, he looks a little too old.
You know who they would get?
Who? Craig T. Robinson.
No.
He'd be great.
No, and you can't go too wacky, so you can't go Tracy Morgan.
Terrible.
No.
Heated dumps.
Yes, that's actually what I was going to say. I could see him if he wanted to break out into being a little more serious. He could have done this role.
Yeah.
This could have been any generic captain, so that doesn't really matter. Imagine if it was Tobey Maguire as John McClane.
Oh God.
No, do you know who could do it if he buffed up a little bit? Because he's not very tall. Same with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Let me think. I got a few people in mind, but Ryan Gosling could do it, but he's a little too small. Do you know who would have been a good choice to play this in a remake?
Who?
Jesse from Breaking Bad.
As who again?
McClane.
I could see that.
Right around the right age. Or do you go
Buff him up a little bit?
Or do you go with somebody like Stephen Amell, the Green Arrow?
That I could see a lot more.
You know, he's Canadian, so they could get some of that if they filmed it up here.
Plus, he did pull off goofy action in TMNT as Casey Jones.
He's about the right height. He's very physical, and he has I think he could have done a really good job if they were to cast him now. You know what else I could see him doing? He could be a decent RoboCop.
Yeah, I'd buy that.
It's funny that we have to look to television to get some of the good younger generation of action stars, because there's not a whole lot right now. There's not a whole lot right now doing that.
Anybody who isn't doing it is in Marvel.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Like, there's not really...
Like who's your go-to action guy?
Pure action?
Because you can't say Bruce Willis anymore.
For a while, it was Gerard Butler.
Yep. And then he's just kind of...
And it's all older guys like Liam Neeson and Keanu Reeves. Younger people doing pure action? Even all the Fast and Furious guys are in the 40s or older.
Yep. Which, can you believe that movie came out like 20 years ago?
Yeah, I know, eh? Second one, Yo Bro the movie. Third one had the guy from Home Improvement in it.
Which I still haven't seen the third Home Improvement movie. No. I haven't seen the third Fast and the Furious.
Yeah, there's not really... I'm thinking of people even in the Marvel movies that are in that right age group. There's not a whole lot in that sweet spot of like 28 to 40-ish.
Maybe Chris Evans.
But they're not...
But he's too good looking.
For a lot of these kind of action movies, there's not... There's
Like
not,
he is Captain America, and
there's
he'll
not
always be
a bunch of
Captain.
breakout martial arts style stars right now.
The guy who will play in Shang-Chi, maybe.
And there's like MMA stars, but they're not getting big movies. No. Special Agent Johnson and
Johnson and Johnson.
Johnson and Johnson. Oh, it's Robert Davi. I forgot.
Yeah, he always plays a bad guy, doesn't he?
This would have been the same year he was the bad guy in Living License to Kill.
I thought so. I mean, I thought he looked friggin' familiar.
Daniel Craig has the right look, but he's too British to play.
Yeah, he looks British.
Yeah. Same with like the guy from the Kingsman. He's
Taron
Egerton. Yeah, like
Egerton. Elton John.
Too British looking to do it. It's really hard to cast a John McClane and make it like believable. Like you could go outside of the realm and like go to somebody you would like not expect. You know who would make a really good one, but he's too old now, even though he's still not that old?
What?
Jamie Lannister.
Yeah.
He's a little.
I can see
he's
that.
a little too old though. Just.
Cast Tyrion Lannister as Hans Gruber.
Oh, what if I say no? Are you going to say that? Is it going to explode on the internet that Alex that's being biased about it? Motherfucker, a 3-foot tall person can't do this. Why? He can't. He can crawl through the vents, but like that's about it. Actually, he wouldn't have to crawl. He'd just walk through the vents, but that's all he could do. That's dude. That's like saying, why don't I play as him? The movie ends because I die from not being able to go through the vents.
No, I'm not saying Tyrion Lannister is John McClane. I'm saying him as Hans Gruber.
Oh. Okay. Maybe.
Tyrion Lannister is John McClane. That'd be great.
That's what I thought you were saying. I'm like, what the fuck?
I can't. What's his real name again?
Elfman? I don't know. Call me Elf one more time.
I can't remember. It's gonna drive me crazy. What the fuck? Shit, I can't remember.
I'm not going to help you.
I'm thinking here. Fuck, it's gonna bug me now. Fuck. Now I have to look it up.
His name is hilarious because of his size.
What?
His name.
What is it?
Peter.
Oh, Peter Dinklage. That's it.
Peter Dinklage is a dinky man. Who else? He couldn't really play him. Now, I'm trying to go with like maybe like the HBO route or something. Who could play John McClane? Who has that right level of charisma / the right age, the right feel, the right look? There's not really. There's a lot of really good older actors. There's just not a whole lot of good young-ish actors.
Yeah, nobody in that middle ground.
Because like there's people really young, like really way too young to play them, and then there's people like way too old. That's about it. Or people in between that are the wrong body types. We didn't really cultivate that kind of person in TV or movies in the last 20 years. Like he could pull it off, but he's way too tall.
Mm-hmm.
Magnoliano, Joe.
Yeah,
he's just too tall.
Yeah, he's built like he's built. I always thought this scene was remarkably clever. How they just cut back and forth. And he's looking at the chart, seeing does his name line up and all that shit.
Yeah.
This was another. I think this was another thing they mentioned in that Movies That Made Us. They hadn't put together a scene where these guys had met each other face to face yet.
Do you know who would have been good? MacGyver.
As John McClane?
Yes. And I mean like retired from SG1 fat MacGyver. Fat old MacGyver. Richard Dean Anderson is. John McClane be like, what? When? No, now. Like, what? He's older than Bruce Willis.
Oh.
Ew, that's pretty gruesome, actually.
And if that didn't kill you, the head through the glass would.
You know what they might do? They could go like reimagined. Like it doesn't have like John McClane. We're thinking of him just in the pure realm of being just like a white dude.
Yeah.
Couldn't they go with like a Michael B. Jordan or something?
Yeah, that'd be cool.
You know what I mean? Like and this isn't a case of like when they did like the Honeymooners where they like
just made them black for some reason.
They didn't just make them black. They made it black and then like almost hokey caricatures.
Mm-hmm.
Like it didn't make any sense. Like it was like, let's do it, but it's with black people. Like, you know what I mean? If there's a reason, like it didn't seem like there was a reason to make that movie, and that's why it tanked. But I think he would be a good John McClane.
Yeah, I could totally see that.
And then or if they do like another Lethal Weapon, that's an easier one to cast.
Oh God, yeah.
Because you know what you do? You make the bad guy, instead of Gary Busey, it's Jake Busey. He's the right age now.
Yeah.
That's a lot of shooting.
Let's say half of this part of the commentary will be exclusively gunfire.
Yes. Now, who would you get to play Riggs and Murtaugh? Now,
I want someone older for Murtaugh, but I want someone funny.
it can't be Tracy Morgan.
Can't be Tracy Morgan. Kenan Thompson looks too friendly.
But you know what I mean? It's like we're in a situation where there's a lot of really, really good African-American actors, but how many of them are that right age?
Yeah.
In their 40s.
I would almost... No, he's older now. I was going to say Chris Tucker, but you're always going to associate him with Rush Hour.
You'd almost have to find somebody would be playing against type.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be like a Denzel or somebody too old. So...
No, Denzel could pull it off.
Too old.
How old is he?
He's like 64, 65.
Oh, wow.
Maybe older. And you just get Joe Pesci to come back and like they dye his hair. I think Renee Russo looks younger because she's had so much work. A lot of her face is younger than the movies. Oh, that's mean, Alex.
I think the best she's ever looked was in Get Shorty.
Yeah, probably.
Which that's a movie nobody remembers, but I really liked.
Yeah. Oh, here we go.
Yeah, this brutal.
Oh, as a kid, this was terrifying to me. I've stepped on a piece of glass. Oh,
to be that cut up. Oh yeah.
I stepped on a piece of glass and it hurt bad.
I dropped a glass on my foot when I was a kid. My parents had to take me to the hospital like the middle of the night.
Ugh.
Yeah, it was gushing blood. Now I don't have that problem because I can't walk.
You drop it on the other one.
It's true.
That's dark. Ugh.
Ugh,
HD.
that's so brutal.
But you know who would have been a great Die Hard villain in the 90s?
Who?
Fantastic. Michael Ironside.
Yeah, he would have been.
Could you imagine if he had been one of the bad guys?
Oh yeah, and have him as like some corrupt paramilitary leader or something like that.
Like he washed out of, like he's older. He washed out of the Green Berets after Nam.
I'd make him like a mercenary unit leader.
Oh, like they were a black site, like black ops during.
And then they got disowned, and he's like, "Well, you still owe us a fuck ton of money."
Yeah, makes it they got screwed over during, what was it, early 90s,
Serbia or
Kosovo.
Iraq, Kosovo.
Yeah, like they were black. They were basically hung out to dry, and then he's just like, "Fuck this," and then he gets all very Michael Ironside-y.
Man, you could set it in like the Middle East and have him go after like some Saudi oil prince or something like
You know
that.
what you could have had? His henchman in the 90s
Who?
could have been Wesley Snipes.
Ooh, you know who I'd make a diehard bad guy? The bad guy from The Mummy, Arnold Vosloo.
Yeah, that would work for sure. John McClane,
You know who would work in a Die Hard movie?
as played by Jeff Goldblum.
You know who would work in a Die Hard movie, but not as a lead, but as a supporting character?
Who?
90s Brendan Fraser.
You know who would work as a bad guy now?
Who?
Timothy Dalton or Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah.
Actually, you know who would have been a decent John McClane if they had wanted to do a remake, let's say circa 5, 6, 7 years ago?
Who?
Even maybe right about now, because he's right around the right age, early 40s, maybe. Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
When he got like
Batman shape?
yeah, he could have been a pretty good one.
I'd be willing to see that. Just not 2003 Daredevil Batman.
Actually, you know, he's a little small. Hugh Jackman would have been good.
Yeah, I could see that. But he'll always carry the weight of Wolverine with him.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, Liev Schreiber would have been a good bad guy. I was thinking of
Great bad guy.
Actually, Fassbender could be either.
Yes.
He could have played either type of character
He'd be a great Hans Gruber.
if they wanted to remake it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's kind of getting old using the same dude from Inglourious Bastards. What's his name again? The guy who can speak a million languages.
Brad Pitt?
No, the German.
Oh, Christoph Waltz?
Yeah, he's been used too many times now. But yeah, that would have been pretty sweet. But you know what they would do? They would just cast like Taylor Lautner or some stupid,
Oh, God.
some stupid fuck, or it'd be like, oh, who? I'm trying to think who's the new hotness. Oh, I never thought of it. Never thought of it. High School Musical.
Zac Efron?
Yeah,
I think he'd be a good sidekick.
you know, yeah, maybe he's a little too short. You think maybe?
Yeah. And you're not casting the fucking Rock.
No. Maybe. No.
Paul Walker could have done it had he not died.
He would have been pretty good. Well, he did sort of make a movie similar to that. Well, not exactly. Did you ever see
The one where he's doing the parkour shit?
sort of? It's the one where he's running around town to get money back for some guy. That was good. I forget the name of it. It wasn't Point Blank. It was something or other. Mickey Rourke circa 1990 would have been great. Pre fucked up face Mickey Rourke. I know it's big. Basically, the commentary is who would play who and good in this, but like it's interesting though when you think about like it's almost the perfect cast for this movie.
Mm-hmm.
No, the other one. It is. The script's pretty smart that way.
Yeah, like it's supremely well written. And there
Oh
was,
God, I already know who they would cast if they made it now. It would be John Cena. Even though we wouldn't want to watch it, he would be John McClane. I guarantee it.
if he could somehow stop smiling, yes.
Because he's terrifying. He also is turning. He's turning into Ernest P. Worrell.
Yeah, slowly but surely.
You know who hasn't played a bad guy ever?
Who?
Be fantastic, and you would never see it coming. Tom Hanks. Imagine letting him get let loose as a bad guy.
I've seen him as a bad guy in one thing, but he was a charming bad guy. It was he was like a bank robber in the 1930s.
That wasn't Lady Killers, was it?
Maybe. And he had like a gang of like black thieves who worked with him.
That might be Lady Killers.
Yeah, maybe that's what I'm
I
thinking.
think it's a remake.
Yeah, I think it's a remake of something.
You couldn't really do DiCaprio, too tiny.
Yeah. Too much of a pretty boy. But yeah, like if you were to remake Die Hard, first off, blasphemy. But it has to be the right thing. I mean,
You might have to go with an
okay.
unknown.
Yeah. I'd be okay with a prequel and then Bruce playing later. And just switch between them. Just it can't be too jarring because it's pretty clear that Nakatomi is his big I blow up building shit, but I could see like high car chases and maybe big gunfights as a kid or as a younger.
Okay, my final one, I'll say who could do it. The guy from what's that? Sons of Anarchy.
Oh,
and he was in Pacific Rim.
Charlie Hunnam.
Yeah,
yeah. All right.
He has the right look. He could get rugged, sort of looking, and you know what I mean. He's the right height, right age, and he can do that sort of character. He'd have to really push himself. So yeah, it's weird. Like Bruce Willis is a unique character.
Yeah, because he's strong yet funny.
Too. There wasn't really many other. He was basically in the 80s and early 90s. He was cast as almost like American Pierce Brosnan in his attitude.
I kind of see that. Yeah,
a little less suave. A little like what if James Bond was street smart? That's basically his whole shtick.
I also appreciate just how much John McClane gets the shit kicked out of him. I know I said this earlier in the commentary because it just occurred to me now because this is an HD version. On the wall behind him, there's blood where he's leaning against the wall.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas you wouldn't see this in like a Marvel movie, for example. You know what I mean?
That's the thing. Very few. Yeah, you're right. Like a lot of these guys, action stars in the 80s, were invincible.
Yeah, like
Arnold would get a scratch on him.
Maybe a little bit of blood, but not much.
Even like the Highlander guy, like Christopher Lambert, he barely got hurt in his movies.
Yeah, John's limping.
Van Damme's the only one that would get hurt a lot in his movies. And Dolph Lundgren too. Dolph Lundgren would have made a great henchman bad guy back then. But
in his prime, yeah.
But yeah, very few of these stars were ever vulnerable. Mel Gibson's characters sometimes were, but not to the extent. Like almost every movie, Bruce Willis got the crap kicked out of him. Jesus, Mary, Mother of God. Okay. I had a horrible thought.
What?
One final thing. Just to settle the score, a new Die Hard movie, John McClane is John McClane is played by Elijah Wood and Gruber is played by Daniel Radcliffe. They can finally settle the score. It would just look like the same person's filming the entire movie.
You know who would play? I would like to see them as a henchman, just because they're so ridiculously huge. The guy that plays the Mountain.
Oh,
someone like
Hapthor something or other is his name.
Yeah, just to have him not in the Carl role, because Carl is clearly a gun guy.
Nicolas Cage is the bad guy.
That could work.
With him trying to do a German accent.
Oh, God. Not you.
Let off some steam, Bennett.
Stick around. Oh, God.
That's so terrifying.
I know, right? Like, it's acceptable collateral damage.
He speaks English? That's the first time I've ever seen him talk in a movie.
Yeah, come to think of it, yeah.
Oof.
It's
a really good job they did with this, the paint. Like it's more painty looking than a newer movie, because remember when they used to do the effects, they did it so to affect how it would look on cinema and on television.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't realize we'd be seeing things in such clarity. Seth Rogen is John McClane. She's got a bit of a lip on her considering her situation. It's kind of surprising.
But that's something to be appreciated. Like, certain movies didn't make them just the damsels in distress. They're like, yeah, my situation sucks and I'm not going to take it anymore. I'm sure there's probably like papers written on it too somewhere.
Oh, God, I guarantee it, yeah.
She's not the strongest woman I've seen in an actor. I'm trying to think. Well, obviously Ripley, but
Line out of nowhere.
I was 12 or whatever he said.
Yeah. This movie has a distinct lack of David Carradine.
I'm sad that he's gone, and in such a terrible way too.
He went in one of the most memorable ways.
Yeah, you're not gonna forget that. That's for goddamn sure.
Oh man, the universal language of get the fuck out of the way.
Machine gun fired, screaming fuck.
Well, you'd be dead.
Oh yeah. I forgot just how much this movie sucks you right in at like certain times.
That's the thing. Like I'm trying to talk, but it's like, come on.
And you know what? This scene was inspired from a movie in like the 30s or 40s.
Oh, would you think it would have been one of the silent? No, 30s.
30s or 40s, like yeah, because like again in that documentary they talk about this scene, and someone uses a fire hose to jump into a building.
That would almost feel like a Buster Keaton type thing from the 20s, but yeah, it's possible for sure.
I was like, holy shit, that's really fucking cool.
Probably pre-code Hollywood before they had laws against a lot of that shit. Blow the roof. I was ready to watch something that doesn't hold up today. Look at the special effects. It won't hold up.
I think you may be surprised because a lot of this was in camera.
Okay, that looks fine. That doesn't.
I think that was a miniature.
That looks good, though. Ew, bloody feet. It's like he stepped in strawberry jam. Oh, that's the more terrifying part.
Oh
right
yeah,
there.
because the fact that it'd be dragging you down. Holy shit.
Did it. They haven't done a Die Hard episode of Goldberg's yet, have they?
Yes, they have. They did that in like season 5, I think.
So what they're missing then is
Lethal Weapon.
Bloodsport. How have they not done a Bloodsport one yet?
They did a Karate Kid with some Bloodsport inspiration.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like
a true Kumite, but...
Or, yeah, because would that not be perfect for Barry?
He did... I know Adam competed, where he fought, I think it was like Johnny Atkins or something.
Yeah, but... Or no, even better. He's got to see above the law. You ain't above mine. Take that to the bank. Just have an entire episode where Barry gets stuck saying catchphrases. He's trying to think of his own. They haven't done an episode where he has to think of his own catchphrase yet, have they?
No. Other than I'm Big Tasty.
Yeah, but like find out that that's taken by McDonald's or something, and then he has to like change the name.
See, and this will be that scene coming full circle.
Yeah, in theaters you wouldn't have noticed it, but home video, remember that was still a very starting to become a very large thing. Yeah, man, stop it!
Stupid thing making me think.
Making me think my own thoughts. Jeez, no wonder they fight and don't get along. She's even terrible as a prisoner. Like, why? I would have killed her by now. Wait, I'm a horrible person, I guess. When
a little bit. That's another thing I really appreciate about this movie is McClane is so fucking resourceful.
MacGyver.
Yeah, MacGyver.
You know who would have been a good John McClane in 1988?
Who?
Tom Selleck, Magnum P.I.
I think he auditioned, or I think they offered it to him.
They probably would have made him shave his mustache, though.
And you can't do that to Tom Selleck. Not often.
Well, they did it in the 90s, and it sucked. Did he do it on Friends?
Friends or Miss? No, he had his mustache for Mr. Baseball. Just, I love the way this shot is framed. Just the way it's lit.
Hi, honey.
I am at 2 hit points.
600 million.
That's crazy. Just to
That's
think how much
it's
money
basically a billion now.
Oh, easily.
They should have just killed everybody in the building.
That was their plan.
No, like earlier. They should have killed them all right away and then pretended they had prisoners.
I love the way it says,
Motherfucker.
motherfucker. This scene is so stupid. I love it.
Oh, that was good.
Fucking beamed him.
The watch.
That fucking death grip. And,
Yeah.
And everybody knows this famous bit of trivia. They pulled the cord one too short, so the look on Rickman's face is genuine.
Oh, so like 3, 2, and they pulled them?
Pulled it, yep. So that's him like, oh fuck, and they kept it.
You know what? What's the best fall of all time in a film like this? Ever?
I don't think you can top this one.
Yes.
Which one?
Jack Nicholson's Joker fall.
Yeah, but you don't see enough of his face. This one you see him for.
Oh, you see him go, "Wah!" Oh, you haven't seen the Blu-ray. There's a 4K Blu-ray of it, and he goes, "Wow!" and you can see it as it shrinks.
I may have to, yeah, because I used to have.
Show you.
I used to have all the Batman movies on Blu-ray, but they got stolen. From me.
Ugh.
Yeah, there's a nice box set too.
Well, there's a 4K set now, and I've got it, so I can show you sometime.
Cool. Does that include the newer ones? The Nolans?
It's the first 4.
Okay.
And the Nolan ones have a separate trilogy on 4K as well.
That would make sense.
Because, I mean, they were already shot in IMAX, which is 8K, so it's a no-brainer. They just, put it out. I love the way these movies ended with, like, the way they had these styrofoam disasters and everything. It's got a very, like, this is like a Ghostbusters ending.
So, yeah, I was just thinking of that.
Actually, okay, if we're thinking people that could have been in the running to play John McClane in 1988,
yeah,
you know who would have been a great pick?
Who?
Patrick Swayze. That's after Roadhouse.
Yeah, which I've never seen.
Only
seen clips.
It's after Point Break, or right around the time of Point Break,
Yeah,
and
90, yeah.
And was it Red Dawn?
Yeah, Red Dawn was 85, I think.
He might have been a good choice at the time because Keanu was way too young.
Yeah.
But
yeah, he hadn't even done Bill and Ted by this point.
But yeah, he would have been like the right kind of age to play the character, like 30-ish. Or Kevin Costner back then.
This is the best love story right here.
I've
true
become friends
bromance.
with you. It's like basically they spent a lifetime of being partners in 2 hours. And you know what? This might be the first time at the time that an action movie took place in real time, minute to minute.
Yeah.
Because like there's a lot of movies where they would jump around. How many times have they done that before? Where it's like 24. Like, you know,
I wouldn't call this real time, but I would definitely say a lot closer to realism.
It takes place over the course of probably 5 hours.
Yeah.
In a span of 2 hours of us watching it. You know who could have played him too had they not gone German? Rutger Hauer back then.
Yeah, back when he was young. Yeah.
Actually, Harrison Ford, how did we not think of that? He could have been
John McClane.
Yeah. Circa 87, 88 for sure. No question.
But always he'll be Indiana Jones and always Han Solo.
Yeah.
That's probably why.
I mean, well, he was Jack Ryan for a while.
Yeah, that's true, but he was never
Jack stupid Ryan. Me. If he had gained a few pounds, Alec Baldwin back then.
Yeah.
Circa 91 Alec Baldwin. But see, I love that you watch the whole movie and you're like, what point does he really have as a character? And he has no point until he saves them at the very end.
Yep.
He really doesn't, because he doesn't stop them from doing anything. He doesn't actually alter the events really at all, except giving them the warning that they're going to breach. Oh, and you know what? Okay, I keep saying that, but we're done. But why didn't Michael Biehn get cast?
Yeah,
you could have had Michael Biehn or Dennis Quaid, or was Quaid too young then?
Quaid was too young. Michael
Biehn would have been the right age.
Mm-hmm. Rugged. He's got the personality. He's snarky. Bill Paxton.
I mean, he is the basis for Solid Snake. He could have easily done. He would have been Kurt Russell.
So now we fantasy casted this our draft lottery.
Yes, it's pretty much. I'm sorry. It is, and you know what? It is a Christmas movie.
It is. No matter what,
fuck you, Blanchard.
No matter what anything says, this was a fucking Christmas movie.
It's all Christmas stuff. While the credits are going, what are your go-to you must watch every Christmas season movies? Like
Die Hard for sure.
You have 5. Let's pick 5 unless you have more, but 5 that you must watch every year.
Die Hard, A Christmas Story, Home Alone 1 and 2. And there was one on Netflix I've really developed a liking for. It's the one with Kurt Russell, but I can't recall the name of it right off.
Oh, his newest one. I didn't see that, but I heard it was good.
Really good. It was unexpectedly good.
My honorable mention that doesn't make the list because I haven't seen it in many, many years was the Dino De Laurentiis, the Santa Claus story, whatever it was. You know, the one
with Tim Allen?
The one from the 80s.
Okay.
You know, where it's supposed to be like the realistic story of Santa Claus. I don't remember. It's been forever since I saw it, so that's honorable mention. But my go-tos would be I have to watch Bad Santa 1 and 2 now.
Mm-hmm.
I watched Wizard of Oz.
Never seen it.
You've never seen the Wizard of Oz?
I think it's on my PVR, but I've never watched it.
Okay, I have a Blu-ray. That's something we have to watch sometime. It's not long. It's one of the only musicals I actually like, and it always aired on TV as a kid around this time of year. So those are my 3 of them so far. What else do I have to watch that? Because it doesn't have to be a Christmas movie. It's a movie you have to watch at Christmas. Is probably the best way I can put it.
Mm-hmm.
Every year around Christmas we watch those ones. What else? So Bad Santa. That I usually watch like the comedy Christmas. I watch like Harold and Kumar Christmas.
I just think, isn't there there's like a couple of Christmas horror movies, but none of them are particularly good. Like Black Christmas, like a new one just came out.
There's not usually a ton of. That was terrible.
I've heard mixed things.
Well, the only person,
Roebuck
is the only person I know that liked it.
I would trust his opinion though.
I had a friend of mine who's actually works in the comics industry. Had to watch it for critiquing it for a project they're working on.
Yeah,
and is the biggest hit, like more of a horror nut than Roebuck.
Yeah.
Hated it every fiber of their being.
Oh, wow.
Like, went home and immediately watched the original Canadian movie to cleanse their palate, is what I was told. But yeah, Christmas movies that I have to watch, it's Wizard of Oz, Bad Santa 1 and 2. There are a few others. I'm trying to think other good Christmas style comedy / I'm drawing a blank on it, but like another 2 that I always watch around Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Because I never saw It's a Wonderful Life till recently.
I've never seen it either.
And I mean, I always had to watch Muppet Christmas Carol.
Never seen it. I've seen.
Oh no!
I know, right,
dude?
I think it's on Disney Plus. I think.
Oh, it's gotta be. It's probably. And then what was the other one we used to always catch together? Like I was gonna lump in all those claymation style movies.
Oh, from the Rankin Bass.
Yeah, but I'm not. No, it's not really. Not really the way to go. But I always used to watch The Lion King for whatever reason around Christmas. Like those are my Christmas. Like it's funny that Bad Santa 1 and 2, and I know I'm missing a few that I usually watch every year because I'm not thinking of it at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But Bad Santa 1 and 2 are like my go-to punches. Like I have to watch because of how ridiculous and how heinous and over the top they are.
So yeah, that is our commentary for Die Hard. I know it's taken us a million years to do it. Hopefully you've enjoyed this meandering talk.
Because I mean, who
hasn't seen it?
Who hasn't seen it?
Yeah,
nobody.
So hopefully
we're just having a party and chilling out with us.
Yeah, pretty much. So we will have more content, I'm sure, next week. We'll talk the year in gaming, and yeah, that'll be our New Year's show. So anyway, until next time, we have been
Alex Gruber.
And I've been Mike the Birdman Dodd, and as always, live for your Die Hard. Have a happy holidays. Make sure you spend it with your family. And if you're not, it's not a bad way to spend it with John McClane and company. We'll see you guys next week right here on ThisWeekInGeek.net.
Oh, I remember my last one.
What?
Ernest Saves Christmas. That's what I always have to watch every year.
All right. All right. Good night, guys.
Bye-bye.
Well, that's our show. All right. Here's the deal. Every time you watch my show, I will send you $40.
Checks will not be honored.
You've been listening to This Week in Geek, your source for guaranteed nonsense or your money back. Tune in next week for more info on the most important things you didn't need to know. Check out our website at ThisWeekInGeek.net and subscribe to our podcast through iTunes or any podcatcher. If you'd like to comment on this episode, head over to this episode's post at ThisWeekInGeek.net and leave a comment through Facebook Connect. Follow us on Twitter at ThisWeekInGeek.net and follow our Instagram at twig_official_podcast. Social media not your thing? Send us an email at feedback@ThisWeekInGeek.net. We'll see you next time, and remember,
lower your shields and surrender your listenership.
Just when you think this show is terrible, something wonderful happens.
What?
It ends.
I have to go. Somewhere there is a crime happening.
Do you really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Oh, Jesus Christ.